And now, Fantasy Center with Thomas Burokoff, a very well-dressed man.
We have breaking news today on Fantasy Center. I'm Thomas Brokoff, and today we are going to be doing our draft analysis of the Village League. I would now like to call in my co-partner, my anchor, if you will, Mr. Craig Cowherd. Come here, Craig. Are you back there?
Yeah.
There he is. Good to see you today, buddy.
Hey, Mr. Brokaw.
Good to see you, Craig, but it's Brokoff
Right.
with an F.
Looking pretty spicy, like a bowl of salsa.
You look like a bowl of mild salsa.
Thanks. Like Dick Vitale would say, baby.
Oh, thank you. Me and Dick we're very tight.
Yeah.
So today, what are we doing today, Mr. Craig? What are we doing today?
Well, we're giving a draft analysis or power rankings of the teams based on the draft. Strictly on the draft. No trades have occurred will be,
Post-draft trades. None of those are included.
none of those things.
We will also be going down the best, the worst picks of the draft, and also the Homer Awards, and if the reigning favorite will win.
So basically, it's like the Golden Globes, except we're more well-dressed.
And the awards aren't generally good.
Right.
Yeah.
I had that in mind.
Fair enough. Let's dive right into the best and the worst picks. Let's do the worst picks first. Now, who is fourth for worst picks, Mr. Craig?
Number 4 for worst picks is D'Angelo Williams, drafted by Andrew Carroll, known as the Grandy Man.
I call him Grandrew, yeah.
Very good call. The main problem with this is D'Angelo has been going downhill ever since Subway got popular.
The $5 footlong destroyed any stock in D'Angelo Williams.
Absolutely. He shares too much time with Jonathan Stewart, who is more of the premier running back on that team.
Even though he's out for a big portion of the year. Regardless of that, it might have actually been a value pick, but regardless of that, moving down to the third worst pick, that's Blair Walsh, also drafted by Andrew Carroll. Now analyze this, Mr. Craig.
Blair Walsh is a kicker. He doesn't need to be drafted.
Number 2 on the worst of the worst is Phillip Rivers. Analyze this, Mr. Craig.
Phillip Rivers, a decent quarterback, but his throwing motion is about as smooth as the Rocky Mountains and a concrete hammer.
Very good point. Now, who drafted him?
Andrew Carroll.
Are you seeing a little bit of a pattern here, Mr. Craig? Because I definitely am.
There's definitely a pattern. The first 2 of the 3 guys that were worst picks, their last names started with W.
Bingo! And the person they drafted them is also the same.
I didn't even notice that.
Wow. And the number 1 for the worst pick was actually taken in the first round. Who was it, Mr. Craig?
This was Alfred Morris, drafted by Andrew Carroll. Now, we'll give him a little bit of a break on this. He had a phenomenal year last year, but the problem is not really proven. And to draft him at the number 3 pick is a little dicey.
Definitely could be considered the worst pick of the draft. Would you agree on this?
Yeah, I think I could maybe agree.
Okay, fair enough. Now let's go to the best. We went from the worst, mainly Andrew Carroll's picks. Let's go to the best, and you'll see there's also a trend on this one as well. Number 4 on the best draft picks was Darren Sproles, drafted by Jenna. What's up, Mr. Craig? What do you think about this pick? Why is this so much value?
Darren Sproles, picked by Jay Spice. Very good player. Very good value for where she got him. He's also a very good receiving back. One of the probably top 3 receiving backs in the NFL. He gets the ball in his hands a lot as well.
Very true. And we are in a half PPR league, so very good
points
stuff.
per reception. Big key there.
Half points.
Well, half of it's better than nothing.
Exactly. Number 3 in the best picks was picked by Downey Page. Who is this? Denarius Moore. Now, why is Denarius Moore so good?
Mainly because he fits Downey's draft strategy, which is the same as the Oakland Raiders. Draft crappy fast players.
Bingo.
Can't get a better player than that.
Very good value. Tons of value here. Number 2, one of the best names in football, also drafted by Downey Page. One of the best names in football. Oh, the player is also Sebastian Janikowski.
Janikowski, he's got a big leg. His other one's smaller, so he sometimes has problems walking. But he's a very good player, great kicker. Although Drafting a kicker at all is useless.
But no, that's not true, because this is one of the best picks. It was picked above Blair Walsh. Definitely lots of value there. And number one, the number one best pick is, drumroll please. Never mind. Who is it, Mr. Craig?
Downey Page.
Whoa! What a pick! What a pick! Oh, that's the way. No.
Raiders defense drafted by Downey
Bingo.
Page.
At 192. Should have been the number one pick, but it fell to 192. What a deal by Downey.
I mean,
what a champ.
The fact that the Raiders defense has Charles Woodson is enough to put it over the top.
If we were in 2001, that's correct.
True.
But Richard Seymour, who also used to be good, is on that team. Very good team. Very quality.
Very quality.
High quality.
Quality.
Quality. Now let's go.
This is a commercial.
This is me before I used Downey's sexy hairspray.
And this is me afterwards. I don't always wear a girl's shirt, but when I do, it's sweet.
Welcome back to Fantasy Center.
Glad you didn't change that tuner.
Very good life decision. Best decision you ever made. I'm Thomas Brokaw, and I'm joined with Craig Cowherd to analyze the draft, based completely on numbers. Isn't that correct? Correct, Craig.
We got all our info off the interwebs.
Therefore, it must be true. Let's dive right in, shall we? Number 12. Who is it, Craig?
Number 12 team in our league, decided by the interwebs and the facts of life. Downey Burger, Downey's Muscle Hamsters.
Very good team name. Probably top 3 quality team name. But his picks just didn't do it. I mean, the Raiders' defense, you're not getting much value there. Terrible pick.
He did have a good couple early rounds, though.
He did. But Denarius Moore, I mean, you're really getting more with less there.
True.
Which is a good thing generally, but not in this. And then Sebastian Janikowski. Every time you say that name, it seems like you're sneezing, and who wants that?
I know. Number 11, Mr. Brokaw.
Team Mancha, Jonathan's Uncle Joe, a man who drafted lots of young players, but
They're very inexperienced, but they have high potential. Andrew Luck's going to be a star. The rest of the team, I don't know. We have to wait and see. So,
we shall see.
giving him the benefit of the doubt, he could be a better team, but he's at number 11 because we just don't know.
This is true. Number 10 is Jen Greenhall. She made a trade which might have made her team better, but right now she has a lack of wideouts after the draft, lack of depth. Something that may come back to haunt her in the long run, but she could also be a very good team now.
Everybody knows, Mr. Brokaw, that during a rough NFL season, there's injuries and stuff. And because of that, you need
People
some
break
depth.
their toes and they sprain their eyeballs. Bad things happen.
Right.
Now, number 9. What is the team on number 9?
Carol's Cannibalizing Cockroaches.
The worst team name I've ever heard, quite possibly. Has a very explosive team, but very inconsistent.
Yeah, exactly. When we had him in the worst picks, Alfred Morris. Very possible that he is an explosive back, but very possible not an explosive back. We just don't know.
Blair Walsh's leg, very explosive.
Very explosive, but does the ball go through the uprights? That's what's the key.
Philip Rivers, very explosive throwing motion. Not smooth at all. So we shall see what happens with Andrew Carroll.
Could be a good team. You don't know.
Could
You
be
don't
not.
know.
Number 8 is the Buffalo Homers. Now, I believe Breton misunderstood the point of fantasy football, which is to get people from different teams.
Fantasy football, you draft a bunch of individual fantasy players. You're not drafting an NFL squad.
He didn't really go for much diversity, but
Hey, it's okay though. He could have a good team because he did draft pretty good players, even though they are homers.
this is true. Number 7, Mr. Craig.
Kingdom Fire, Ryan Greenhall, RG Green, as we all know well and love.
The team, very strong early in the draft, but at the end he kind of tailed off. Like one of those charts where it's going up, and then just straight down.
It could be a good team though. He's got good position players.
You're just so positive on everyone, aren't you, Craig?
I try.
Not everyone can be a top 5 team.
No, but top 5 teams can be in there.
Very good point. Number 6, Jay Spice, as I like to call her.
The Tenacious Terrors.
Very scary name.
Very good at core positions such as halfback, wideout, tight end, kicker,
Cornerback,
defense. But the problem is, again, she's similar to Team Greenhall, Jan Greenhall,
lack of
with lack of depth.
depth.
Lack of good players on the bench in
It has
case of
killed.
injuries and
It has
such.
killed many a team.
And also matchups. If you play matchups, it's hard to do that with no good players.
Coming in at number 5, Calvin and Hobbes, Benjamin Gassett, the White Asian, as I like to call him.
Benjamin, very good team. But the problem is,
See how it plays out. See what happens.
you have to see how these players play. He got some good quality players.
Also took some risks.
He took that's a
See how
good
the cookie
word.
crumble.
Good word.
Thank you.
Risks is a good word.
Thank you. Moving down to number 4, the Heroic Good Guys. Now what a valiant team, and this team is also going to be very valiant on the field. Unfortunately, he can't start 2 valiant QBs. He can only start one of them. But other than that, very good team. He also got Monty Ball, who according to Benjamin Gassett, the White Asian, could be a top 5 running back with 20 TDs and over 2,000 yards. Coming straight from the source, I don't see how his team could be bad with those players.
Pretty true, pretty true.
Coming in at number 3, Spoffy the Clown.
Also known as Honk.
He has tons of value on his team, like Value Mart. He is a very deep team, like the Ocean, and he has lots of good players, like his fantasy team does.
Very good extraction, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you.
He had a solid draft, good value at the beginning and the end.
He killed the entire draft,
And he's really just behind the top 2.
just by a hair.
We don't know how it's going to play
Could end up
out.
number 1.
Could be. Good team.
Who
Good
knows?
team.
Number 2, Blackberry Lane, Sealaw.
That's the Sealaw team. Incredibly good team. Very solid. No real weaknesses yet. I haven't even noticed. But
Neck and neck with number 1. Number 1 just pulled it out. And who's number 1, Mr. Craig? Who's number 1, Mr. Craig?
Jamie Burns and the Scary Bad Guys.
Whoa! That's a scary team name. Scared me. And ladies, Thomas Brokaw is never scared.
He's got a great team. I mean, from start to finish of the draft, he got good value, good players. His starting 10 is pretty superb. The only thing we can do is just pray that someone gets hurt.
There's somewhere back there. Coming up next, after this break, don't change the dial.
Don't change that thing.
This is a commercial.
Welcome back to Fantasy Center with Thomas Brokaw. I would like to note that we here at Fantasy Center are not legally liable for any decisions anyone may make due to the fact that their team is not very good, namely Andrew Caro or Downey Page. Isn't that right, Mr. Craig?
That's right, Mr. Carlisle.
Well, that's all we have today, folks, and that is what I call Fantasy Football Analyzation. Booyah! I'm out.
Just to be clear, we are wearing pants. I'm done.